you guys? Welcome to another chapter in this Corona Chronicles Vol.2. You already know your girl's giving up nothing but fire with some of the dopest comedians in the country. And I have with me, you guys, comedian Ron G. What up, Ron?
Hey, what's up, lady? How you doing? You good?
Man, I'm good. Man, let
I
me tell
like your
you something.
setup. I like
Thank
your
you.
setup.
Thank you. You got to make do what you got to do at home.
With the coffee in the background, all zen and relaxed, like the Black Girl Magic
Listen,
setup.
listen, I was when I first started doing this stuff from home, I didn't have nothing. Like I had my regular what I take with me when I travel, but I had just a plain backdrop. And I said, shit, people got little stuff happening in the background. I said, I need me a little something. So I said, okay.
That look like a virtual background. That don't even look real.
Yeah.
Up well positioned in the feng shui.
See? See what happened in the pandemic, motherfuckers get creative.
You gotta step it up. You see my background. I'm at a whole cafe that
I see
found
it.
offline. I found it.
It's dope too. It's dope. But thank you so much for being a part of my Corona Chronicles. Let me just tell you that I enjoy your comedy. I enjoy your sketches. Like I'm a fan. You are super funny.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So
That means a lot.
no doubt. No, it's the truth. I'm a fan. So with the pandemic being here, stand up has been impacted so much, but have you felt that there's been any impact as far as the social media aspect is concerned? Like, is there an influx? Is this growth for you guys, or are you all still at the same, still have to push the way you have been?
I feel like this is a time where the world has to adjust to what's happening because every day is completely different. I'm a purist when it comes to stand up. I'm like, yo, you got to get on that stage. You got to work this craft. But then when the world shut down, I'm like, I got to get on the social media. And all the stuff I've been complaining about, because I'm like, I perform and I audition. I'm so busy. I don't have time to do social media. Now I make time for it. So I went from posting once a day to like 3 times a day. And that's what the world is. So as a comedian, you have to adjust. And if you don't, you're going to get left behind or be forgotten because I'm in your face at least once or twice a day with social media versus like somebody who's like, no, I'm wait till the world open back up, and it's just different. And I touch more people by doing online stuff than I do in person, but you just have to adjust. It's like doing a podcast almost, but you have to learn the craft of performing on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
At first I was like, this sucks because every platform is different because I did one show and all you could do is see yourself. You couldn't hear nobody and you couldn't hear their laughter and you couldn't see anybody. And it was just painful. I was like, this is stupid. It's like performing in the mirror. But then I do Virtual Chocolate Sundays, which is a dope show we do. We actually do it. It used to be at the Laugh Factory. Now we do it online.
Mm-hmm.
Super dope show, about 200 people. A lot of the folks are unmuted and they're like, it's a fun show. We got the DJ. Like, it's dope.
Yeah, it's definitely been a growth as far as the virtual comedy has come along. So I also do now get these laughs entertainment. So I also put on virtual comedy shows. But when I did my first one, my headliner was like, yo, make sure that people can hear the laughter. You know what I mean? Make sure that people can hear the applause and things of that nature. And I'm like, you take those things sometimes for granted. You know what I mean? And when the shift happened, where people had to start moving to doing it on their live, like I know Ali Sadiq was pumping that joint for a minute on the live, and and now you have the Zoom comedy shows, which have kind of become like a staple, so to speak, a new lane. In comedy. It was definitely an adjustment, it's definitely a learning period, but I think that now it's getting better, but it's going to be a part of the norm. You know what I mean? And I know people kind of tired of hearing that new normal phrase, but it's going to be a part of it. It's definitely going to.
Whatever you did to get you to here won't be the same thing to get you where you got to go. So you got to adjust and adapt. Like I got 2 shows this weekend, but they're like outside the parking lot. And I'm like, I went from being an Emmy Award winner, HBO's Insecure, and now I'm performing in the parking lot.
Hey.
But I love comedy. I'm a comedy whore, man. I love this game. How'd your first show go?
My first show was good. So yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh yeah. So my first show was good. It's still a learning process. I would say that. Like I had a goal of having 100 people, and I think for my first one I had 60, which was good.
That's not bad.
And then I had a crowd who was good about doing the cash apps for the comedians.
Oh man, that's great.
So that right now is like my only challenge, is maintaining and growing that crowd, and then making sure that the caliber of the audience are people who are willing to pay for what they're getting. That I think is maybe the disparaging part, you know what I mean? Because now a lot of people, it's like having an open mic, but you're getting tipped. But at the same time, you're not getting necessarily brand new comics at the open mic. You getting people who headline nationally, you know what I mean? So I feel
Right.
like as consumers that we should be more apt to, if I normally pay $30 for some tickets, I feel like it should be nothing to me to do $10 tip, you know what I mean, or $15. But that's my way of thinking. And so
Yeah.
trying to garner an audience that shares that same way of thinking, so that when comedians do my shows, they know they're gonna come out all right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that piece of it. But it's definitely something that I look forward to growing, and definitely on the back end of this pandemic and when
Yeah.
things open up, I hope to continue to be a promoter and producer and grow bigger shows.
Go
So,
girl.
you got to start somewhere.
Right. I feel
Yeah.
like the adjustment too is like making it personal. When people feel like it's personal, it works. Because I've seen comedians use the microphone. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think the microphone works online.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some people do the microphone and they're like, it's cool, but it's like not as we want that same feel. But again, like I feel like this is more conversational
Mm-hmm.
and people feel like they can feel you more than having that microphone and performing because it's just different. Because you
And
sit in
you
the chair
know,
with a microphone or sitting on a stool, and I'm like, it don't feel the
right,
same.
right. But you know what I think a big piece of that is the crowd work. Some comedians on stage might not do a lot of crowd work, you know what I mean? And so now that's what this is. That's sitting back, seeing who's on these screens, looking at their background, seeing what's happening in their homes, and being able to still build that connection. Um, while you working out your material, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
now people have been home for months and months and months. You got a lot of shit to work out. Where you gonna get it out at?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you might as well hop on these Zooms. You might as well. Why not? You know what I mean? It's I feel like comedy is definitely a muscle that you have to
Right.
exercise.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So have you had any challenges during the pandemic to your comedy or to your level of being creative?
I don't know how deep we can get, but I'll
You
just
man, you can go as far as the bottom of the ocean on
I
here.
feel like I'm battling depression
Mhm.
like every day. And I think my body's just adjusting to what the new world is and all the things that usually bring me joy, like going outside, performing, getting these thoughts out of my head. I can't do them anymore.
Mhm.
So it's not full blown depression, but I can tell it's like the hardest part of depression is like when you don't know where it came from. Sometimes you have triggers and it'll take
Mhm.
you to a dark place where your mind and your heart are two different places. Like usually that's when I got depressed in the past, is like in relationship. You love somebody, but they don't make you feel good. So
Right.
that little being stuck
Mhm.
makes you feel
Mhm.
depressed. But
Mhm.
now this one is different because I don't have a starting point. And so every day is something different, which if there's any comedian watching this, man, your mental health is the most important thing. Sitting in the house all day, not being able to do all the things you need to do. You know, some people are single, some people are married, and you hate the person you're married to, so you feel stuck.
Mhm.
So make sure you work out your mind and your body too. I got to make sure I go running because running is like my little um, thing I do to get my head right because you can't really go to the gym. I just go running and I make sure I stay connected to God, man, and like just make sure I stay prayed up to keep my head right because if I don't, like I can feel that little I call it the cloud creeping up on me,
Mhm.
trying to be like, well, ain't nothing happening. All your friends doing well. You ain't getting no auditions no more. What you doing with your life? And I just got married, so I'm like, to be married and not be able to work, like as a man, you like, yo, this is a weird feeling. You feel kind of stuck and the walls closing in, but I've been fighting through it and actually been doing really good. So I have to acknowledge like, yo, something is not right. And at that moment, I have to specifically and be intentional about praying and working out to remind myself like this ain't real, even though it feel real.
Yo, that's deep, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I didn't know how
It
deep we can go, so I was like,
No, but hey, we take it wherever on this show, to be honest with you, because that is one piece of the puzzle that I think a lot of people don't talk about. Very rarely do I hear comedians talking about their mental health.
we all go
Um,
through it.
I know Ty Davis. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
That's my buddy. Yeah.
She's very open, and I feel like a lot of the stuff she says is very helpful um, to people, because you really, you a lot of people put a face to depression. They have this assumption of what it looks like, what it sound like, you know what I mean? What you're going through. Like I guess the assumption is you're supposed to look like what you're going
We
through.
comedians, people don't let us like feel. Oh, you supposed to
Right.
be the happy person. You supposed to make me happy. You supposed to tap dance. Like,
Exactly,
no.
exactly. But that's a very real piece to what's happening right now. That's a very real piece of what's happening right now, and being able to, even the comedians who use the stage to work out they shit. You know what I mean? To move through those problems or those holds. You know what I mean? It's big, and to not have that, it's almost like your therapist has just quit their job. You know what I
Right, right.
mean?
They on vacation. Like, wait a
Yeah,
second.
they like when you coming back, like, I ain't had my
Right.
meds. What you talking about? You know what I mean? So I can only imagine
Yeah.
what a lot of other communities are going through that just aren't willing to talk about it.
And
Um,
the challenge is too, because we're black in America, I got called nigga twice in my house.
wow.
Like in my house. I was on a Zoom meeting and they got something called Zoom bombing where
Hmm.
people I guess infiltrate your Zoom and
Hmm.
they start calling us nigga. I was doing a podcast and they start calling us niggas and they put like black people getting hung on the screen. Like
Oh
it was
wow.
crazy. Like they started chanting the word nigga, like you're a nigga. Like it was weird. And it
Mm.
was like traumatizing. Like it was like, and I'm in my house, and then I'm doing a online show. I hear somebody scream over the balcony. I look down the balcony. It was a dude under the car, and I'm looking down like, "Yo, you okay, bro?" He was like, "Shut up, nigger." I was like, "Wait, what? You're under?" Like he was literally under a car, and I'm in my house getting called a nigger. I think he was like mentally ill too, but at the same
Hmm.
time, I'm like,
Hmm.
so I'm stuck in my house,
Hmm.
can't do my craft.
Hmm.
I'm watching black people get killed every day online by
Yes.
cops
Yes.
and I get called nigga in my house. Like, do I get a day off?
No.
Can I just get a day to like just breathe and be myself and just be an American or just a
Mm.
human being? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And it's tough. So if you don't decompress and know that everything outside your house is meant to like steal your light, like you're gonna be stuck, man. So you got to make time to breathe. So comedians watching this, man, please make sure you take care of your mental health. Don't take it lightly, man. If you feel
Yeah.
that little cloud come, go to the gym, go work out, go run. Find something you like to do outside the craft that brings you joy so you can keep your head right.
Yeah, that is very important. I'm so glad you even shared that message. I'm so glad you shared that message because that is very, very important. And then you guys be mindful of your resources. I know a lot of people don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations about what they're going through, or again because the expectation is that you're supposed to be the one to lighten the mood, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, as opposed to really dealing with it. Now is the time to reach out. You know what I mean? Reach out to each other, reach out to somebody professionally. A lot of people now are doing these things on Zoom or, video chatting where you can just talk to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
get these things out, and start learning how to build your brands in other ways. Um, this is a challenge for entertainment, period, because entertainers have, especially people who perform live, it's been such a hold and such a strain. Um, but learning how to hone your craft in other ways can be so beneficial. You know what I mean? Learning how to
Mm-hmm.
be creative in other ways. I've seen comedians doing stuff online that you don't never see them do. You know what I mean? Dion Cole got a whole damn disco, you guys. If y'all don't see it on Sunday, I don't, y'all missing
Right,
something
right,
amazing.
right,
You know
right,
what I mean?
right.
People are hosting open mics. People are doing the comedy shows. People have started new podcasts. Ray has a fantastic podcast. Jay Phillips has a dope podcast. So like, and I think that some of these things, they might have been in the back of the person's mind, but they probably weren't gonna get to it, you know what I mean? Or maybe wasn't gonna do it because, I'm on the road, I'm at this show, I'm at that show. It's like, oh yeah, I would love to have this, but now here's the time. Here's the time to really say what you're feeling, say what you're thinking, whether it's about what's happening in the world, whether it's about comedy, whatever it is. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Now is the time to really find another way to dig in, to dive in and showcase your talent. Um, People who you don't normally see do sketches, they doing them. You know
Right,
what I
right, right,
mean?
right.
Because you got to keep writing, you got to keep reinventing. And I shout out to the comedians who have gone into doing something different and it's working. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? It's broadening your audience. People who might not have even known that you were a comedian are finding you in other ways now. You know what I mean? So that's big.
I feel like that's the whole the intentionality of what God is doing with this whole quarantine. Like now you have the time to do everything you said you didn't have time to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's making you grow up and pick a side. Because
Right.
having toxic friends before while you're flourishing makes sense. But now in this time where everything is dark and you have all this free time and
Mm-hmm.
having toxic friends, now's the time to start your business. Find the friends that want to start a business. Find the friends
Mm-hmm.
that want to collab and like make your brand grow and like have their own skills and talents so y'all can collab and create something really dope. Now's the time to do everything you said you wanted to do but didn't have time for, you know, especially
Mm-hmm.
as a comedian too. So I was talking to one of my homies today. He was like, man, I ain't with that online comedy. I'm like, bro, you're gonna get left behind. I said, you got so much stuff to say and you got to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to adjust. Like we as a comedian, we don't have the luxury of not adjusting to the world that we live in. We don't have the luxury of
Yes.
that because every day something changes. Like when we was protesting, me and my lady was out here protesting. I had about 20 minutes of protest jokes, brilliant protest jokes, and now ain't nobody talking about it. So I'm like, I had to throw away 20 minutes of material because I hate doing
No,
current
you can
events.
still use it.
I hate doing current events, but I'm like, yo, but I got to keep writing. And then this part of me too is like, I don't feel like writing stand up. So I'm creating content, but I don't feel like writing stand up because again, the world changes every day and
Mm-hmm.
everything I write don't feel right. Like, so, you know, 2 days later, you're like, this ain't even relevant no more. You know what I'm saying? So as a comedian, again, like we don't have the luxury of not adjusting to this new world, but you have to if you want to stay relevant. So
Mm-hmm.
now is the time. And all that stuff you said you wanted to do that you feel like you ain't had time because you too busy,
Mm-hmm.
let's get it done.
So, what do you think is going to be the state of comedy post pandemic? Like, what are you hoping to see, or what do you think the reality of it is going to be?
I just think the comedy club's gonna be real light. If all of them don't close, like it's just gonna be light and be different. Where you got to do the social distancing, and uh, we all would love to get back to work, but again, like I said, this world's gonna be different. So
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I might blow up from something else. Like in my head, like I told God know what my heart is, but I feel like I've been on this relationship kick lately, which I know that that's a part of my brand, but I've been pushing that lately because I'm learning so much about myself by
Mm-hmm.
being in a space where it's one thing being married and you on the move versus being married and you can't go nowhere. Like that's you really dealing with yourself. So I've been shooting videos about like what my life really is like in my wife's space or in my marriage while in quarantine, like what that
Mm-hmm.
really feels like. Because most people
Mm-hmm.
don't know what marriage feel like. Like if you're single in your head, you all hopeful and it's warm and fuzzy every day. Sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
ain't gonna feel nothing. But I was
Mm-hmm.
making a statement about, I'm with my wife every day and she got on her quarantine sweats, a quarantine ponytail, and no makeup. But I still gotta remind her that she's pretty. Because when she leave out the house, she gonna get complimented and hit on anyway. So I gotta make sure I do all the things I usually do,
Mm-hmm.
even though the circumstances are changing. You know
Let
what I'm
me
saying? I gotta
tell
make
you
her feel sexy.
something, and you
Still
better.
do. We still do date night. I still make sure I do
You
date night
better.
once a week. And
Yes.
I can't stop just because the world looks different. And that's my responsibility as a man to make sure I do that because when I do that for her, I get what I need too. So, but again, it starts with me. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something I had to adjust to. But if I speak on it and I'm learning that a lot of people just don't know, like it's hard to be something you ain't never seen. The relationship and marriage I'm in right now, I ain't never
Mm-hmm.
seen it before. Like my
Mm-hmm.
parents been together almost 50 years, but I ain't never seen no functionally, like they functionally dysfunctional and it works for them.
Right. Right.
But I ain't
Right.
never seen it to where you actually come home. I like my wife. Like we kick it. We do game shows on social media. Like we travel together. We have fun. We both on the struggle bus together trying to figure this world out. And
Mm-hmm.
we have a good time. I ain't never seen that before.
And that's a beautiful thing. There's a challenge to relationships in general with this pandemic. There's a challenge to marriages. It's a challenge to the boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, whatever the case, whatever your dynamic, there's a challenge to a lot of it, even for single people, because single people sometimes out here looking for it with a flashlight in the daytime and still can't find it. And the pandemic has definitely had some people in the home who on some days will probably prefer not to be there. You know what I mean? It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people in relationships, marriages, what have you, with people they don't like. You know what I mean? And not only is that a challenge to your psyche, it's definitely a
You
challenge to
stuck.
your sex life.
You
Like,
stuck.
you know what I mean? Like I don't really like you for real. Like I don't even like the way you breathe. Don't touch
Yeah,
me.
why are you blinking like that? Oh my God. Just blinking and chewing. Ugh.
So with you being newly married,
Mm-hmm.
um, the connotation a lot of times is that, oh, when you get married, everything changes. When you get married, this stops, that stops, da 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 da. Have you found that there has been a difference in single sex life and married sex life?
Yeah. So for me, I feel like most single men, part of our drive for sex is like the chase of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like getting a woman who ain't paying you no attention
Mm-hmm.
to pay you some attention, to pursue her and change her attitude. That conquering thing that men do,
Mm-hmm.
like that's a part of the chase. That's a part of the thrill of getting the woman you want. But especially as black men, I'm gonna get deep. This is where I go.
Come on
I
now.
don't smoke,
Come on. Come on
but I
now.
feel like as black men, we are great at chasing, but we're terrible at pursuing. I mean, at sustaining. We're not good at sustaining. Like once you get what you want,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to sustain that thing you say you want. And even if it was the finest girl, whatever the finest girl in your head is, if you chase her and get her, do you have the tools to sustain that? And most, again, black men, we're taught to chase. That's why it's easy to say I steal somebody else's girl because you know you ain't got to spend no time with her. But you can't
Mm-hmm.
steal my lady. I spend too much time with her. I spend too much time with her and I compliment her and I put in too much work for you to just stop by and compliment her and she'd be like, oh my God, he complimented me. Like my lady, she need a little more than that. My lady expensive. You know what I'm saying? So you can't, I'm talking about emotionally too expensive. You can't just
Mm-hmm.
compliment her and she flattered by that. And I feel like that's the thing I learned. So the hardest part about even intimacy uh during quarantine
Mm-hmm.
is one, vulnerability, and also gratitude. So there's no intimacy without vulnerability. You got to be vulnerable in order to get what you want. You know what I'm saying? Where it's
Mm-hmm.
like you have to say I want you. You have to say I need you. Hey, you got to say like, hey, you look delicious right now. You have to
Mm-hmm.
say these things in order to get that versus like, hey, what you trying to do? That don't require vulnerability. So for me, having gratitude, one, because as a single man, I'm eating out of a bag every day. I'm going to a drive-through. I'm, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in a rush, late somewhere, so I got to go grab some quick food. Versus my wife being there and cooking every day. Like she's cooking for me, and I'm like, I need to appreciate this. Like I ain't used to it.
Right.
I need to tell her like, yo, thank you. So, and sometimes it's like getting a new car. You get a new car, you like, oh, I'm about to clean this thing every day. I'm about to keep it clean. Put the
Mm-hmm.
little cover on it.
Mm-hmm.
When you with somebody every day, sometimes you forget like, yo, like you're dope. And I tell my wife, we just sitting around watching TV, like, yo, you sexy girl. I'll bite your face right now. Like I gotta
Mm-hmm.
say it. And not even like that I don't feel it, but sometimes you be in your own head and your own little depression or whatever you got going on. You gotta
Right.
get your own head and compliment your person and make them feel attractive, even if you don't feel it. And I'm not even talking about an let me do it because I'm supposed to do it. I'm doing it because
Right.
I love my wife and I know that.
Because you want to do it.
Yeah, and I genuinely
Yeah, because
want
you
her
want
to
to
know
do it.
she's sexy. Even on her bad days, little eye booger and puppy breath, I want her to know, like, yo, you're dope, you're sexy. You know what I'm saying?
I look
And
at
yeah,
puppy.
little eye boogers and puppy breath. You know, y'all went got the little crumbs up in here. But I
That's
want her to
cute.
know that. And so again, if you ain't doing those things, expecting somebody to, you know, to have sex with you ain't gonna work. You know, because again,
Right.
when you single, you got two horny people who got their pride, ego, and fear in the way. And
Yes.
so if you're a bold person, you just say, hey, look, I want to get some. But it doesn't require any intimacy. You know what I'm saying? You get what you need and you leave, and then you back to that empty feeling again. But if you got two people that genuinely love each other, you got to work to have the love, the sex, and the relationship you say you want. And
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to do the work. That's why people like, I'd rather be single. Like you want to be single because you don't want to deal with you. It ain't another person. Because
Woo.
for real.
Woo.
That's why
Boy.
people cut off game is strong.
Boy.
Your cut off game is strong when you don't want to deal with you.
Let me
Because
tell you
sometimes,
something. You just hit on something right there.
hey,
You stepped on my toes a little bit.
sometimes relationships is like showing you yourself, and the person that you with
Yes.
is a reflection of everything you're not. Like especially when you come from dysfunction, and because your marriage is like what your home life is, like how you grew up. And so if
Mm-hmm.
you come from sarcasm, dysfunction, yelling at each other, cursing a man out because you ain't never seen a woman handle a man in a way where she respect him and still speak her mind, or you see a
Mm-hmm.
man curse a woman out and he's very aggressive with her and
Mm-hmm.
he is emotionally illiterate, like you bring that into your marriage. And so you got to unpack that thing and figure out what's real and what's not real. Because marriage is dealing with your is and not your should. Your should is by this time we should be in a relationship. By this time we shouldn't be. But it ain't no should. It's
Mm-hmm.
is. Is we both dysfunctional. We both got scars. We both got generational trauma. What are we gonna do? And how are we gonna create this environment so we both can like enjoy each other and not tear each other apart and enjoy each other while we're in this space, while we both growing and you in my space looking at me growing up as a man and it don't feel good because nobody else challenged me because I was attractive. I played sports and I never
Mm-hmm.
had to deal with me. And now because I'm a cute woman who's always got what I want, now
Mm-hmm.
I need a man who I need to like show him some attention. But because I'm so used to getting attention, I don't even know how to compliment a man and make him feel loved even when we have an argument.
Mm.
I'm sorry. That's how I go. Sorry.
Let me
That's
tell you something. Everything you said was so on point. Okay. Everything you said is so on point. And the challenge to that, I think, is somebody really understanding that everything you said is all encompassing of intimacy. Having true intimacy with a person, you guys, doesn't just boil down to the sex. It boils down to understanding that person mentally. It boils down to giving that person compliments because you want to. It boils down to having a different level of understanding about your mate. One thing that he mentioned was, single people have this ego. And when you've gotten with the right person, all those things, all those walls we put up, all these barriers we put up, all these things are supposed to make us feel better, look better, pump us up, whatever our ego is when we step into the bedroom. When you have a partner that there's a true level of intimacy there, those things go away. The me having to outdo you, the challenge of it.
I'm gonna break your back. Like sometimes
Right.
women don't want her
The
back, bro. She want
challenge
to be loved
of
and
it,
hooked on.
the having the ego, all those things. It's like a shroud. And being able to release that is probably the most intimate thing that you can find. Being able to just be yourself and be comfortable in an environment and know that the person that you with accepts you for everything you are and everything that you aren't is very, very intimate. It's very, very intimate. And being of service to your mate is something that I talk about kind of frequently on here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will say, well, this is what I'm not going to do every day, or I'm not going to be his mate. I'm not going to be this. I'm not going to be that. Sometimes you have to look at your actions that you have, your interaction rather, that you have with your partner. You look at it more as in being of service to your partner. I'm showing you how much I care about you by cooking your meal every day. I show you how much I care about you because I'm going to sit down and I'm going to grease your scalp. You know what I mean? I'm
Right,
showing
right.
you that through my service to you, that you are so much more important to me. So that when you have these things, by the time you get to the bedroom, I'm thanking you for all that you did today. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm thanking you for keeping this roof over my head and greasing my scalp and washing them dishes after I cook that meal. You know what I mean?
Right.
It becomes that, but it also adds to it. Also helps to take things to a different level. But so with this coronavirus and
Can I can I say two? Can
go
I
ahead,
say
baby.
something real quick?
Go
All
ahead.
right, cool. So one is foreplay doesn't start in the bedroom.
It does
When you
not.
single, you think foreplay start when them draws come on. Foreplay start way before that because
Mm-hmm.
even when most people think that how I receive love is how other people receive love, and you got to find that out. You got to study your person, which is part of
Right.
marriage. So
You
you got
got
to
to know
find
your
out.
love language.
Some women get turned on by gifts. Some women get turned on by taking the trash out, and I
Yes.
ain't had to ask you.
Yes.
Some women get turned on by like, look, I had a rough day. You got food ready for me, and you got a bubble bath ready for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have to tell you this. Like
Mm-hmm.
some women get turned on by that. Women just get turned on because you listen. Like it don't take much, so you have to study your person. Also, you mentioned ego.
Mm-hmm.
I posted this on a video, but for everybody listening to this, and you want to get married, marriage is marriage is where your ego goes to die.
Mm.
If you want to get married and you have an ego, it's not gonna work. You can be strong and independent while you're single, but strong and independent don't work while you're married. You can be.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
No, I'm not. Go back upstairs.
Yeah, go back upstairs. Love you. Bye. Bye, Tuku Tuku.
Go
And I was
ahead. I'm
saying like,
sorry.
marriage is where your ego goes to die. Like you gotta have when you get married, your ego gotta have a funeral, like completely. If you want your relationship to work, because all the things you built your life around when you were single don't work when you're married. Again, like
Mm-hmm.
I know we're taught and teaching Black women be strong and independent, the feminist movement. It's really great when you're single, but when you're married, ego is necessary when you're worried about gender roles.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put your ego aside, whoever's good at whatever, that's your job in the house. If you're better at finances and I'm not, it ain't the man should be or the woman should be. Like, no, you put that aside and whoever's better at whatever, that's their job in the household. Also, I was going to say for the single people, marriage will make you deal with everything you're running from in your singleness.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you running from, all them the childhood junk, all that little the things that you built the titles that you put before and after your name that you feel like makes you important.
Mm-hmm.
None of that matters when you're dealing with marriage because you got to show up naked You naked with your luggage in your hand. And the
Yes.
goal is both of y'all to unpack y'all luggage and be naked at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So instead of don't yell at me because I'm a man, hey, please don't yell at me because I told my lady this. I was like, yo, you can't yell at me because when you yell at me, it reminds me of my childhood. And when I don't feel heard, that's a problem for me. I learned that in therapy. I said, when I don't feel heard, that's a problem for me. And I'll have to protect myself. And I can't protect you. I can't protect you and protect myself at the same time. So my goal is to come home and be naked so I don't have to protect myself and have my guard up while I'm at the house. So in order to get the best version of me, if you want something from me, don't yell at me. Tell me what you got to tell me. And my heart will always listen to you and adjust. Because I don't, you as a man, you got to get rid of your pride and ego when you're arguing with your lady. Like, look, I made a mistake and I'm sorry, but don't yell at me while you're trying to make your point, because I can't be my best self because I can't see past my own childhood, because right now you're yelling at me and it don't make me feel good. So if you want the best version of me, you got to talk to me like a partner, not like your son. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To function the way you want to. Because I'm never so arrogant where I don't want to adjust because I love you. But you got to understand that. And that stuff you brought from your childhood, you can't bring that here and yell at me and think I'm supposed to adjust like that, because certain things you say to somebody you care about, you're not going to get them back. In the streets, you can yell at somebody, but don't do that to me, because I need to feel love. And my job is, even though I'm a clean comedian and I communicate for a living, I'm not going to yell at you, even when I'm upset, because I want that to be the standard in my household. So even when our kids see us argue, you're going to see mommy and daddy have a disagreement and lay in the same bed and kiss each other, because we don't have to go to 10 to get our point across, because that's important, because kids don't ever see that. That's more important than telling them what they should do. They need to see it.
Right. That's very important. That's very important, because a lot of people fall into the trap of, this is what I want you to do. You know what I mean? This is how a relationship should be. This is what you should look for. Yet my actions totally display something total opposite from what I'm saying. And it can be very confusing to children.
Right.
And that's even going forward in life, when you have to give your children advice, you guys, because they get older, they also start beginning to be intimate and learning what that really means. I can't tell you how to, maybe be faithful in a relationship, or I can't tell you to abstain from having sex, or I can't tell you to do all these things that, knowing good and well, I'm showing you that this is not how this is not how it operates. I'm telling you, hey, wait till you're married. Yet you've seen me be with 20, 30 people ahead of time. You know what I mean?
Another uncle?
Listen, do people still do that?
Another uncle?
Do moms still have
Oh, I'm sure.
somebody, Uncle so-and-so? Like, I thought that was 30 years ago. I thought that was just my childhood, you guys.
That's hilarious.
But I just I think it is so encompassing when you say intimacy brings about so much, so much. And sometimes people just only think about the sex. Like, at the end of the day, that's their focus, that's their goal. But look at how much bigger it can be, you guys. Look at how much bigger it can. Look at how much more your soul gets fed through true intimacy. You know what I mean? You're not getting nothing out of just sex, really, other than a nut. Now, I'm not knocking a nut, okay? But
Don't knock that.
well,
Don't knock that. It's still a temporary fix, though.
Yes. So, what would you say to a person who does use sex as a fix? Would you say the person who uses it, as a crutch or a band-aid?
What would I say? I'm gonna see how I can piss some people off.
No, by all means, yes. Let's piss the people off.
I feel like you need to find out what's broken in you that makes you chase something that's never going to fill you. Whatever that may be, you need to find that thing out, because I feel like I was raised as a hoe. Like, I was growing up as a black man. Every old black man, I was like, how many girlfriends you got, little man? Huh? You got 10 girlfriends? Oh, high five, little man. But then you go from be strong, be tough, you don't show nobody your feelings, and then you meet a woman who need all that from you, and you don't know where to pull from. So then you stuck like, okay, I got all this collateral damage, but I ain't got nothing to show for it. Because I feel like, particularly for me, and I always use me as an example, so nobody will say I'm telling people what they should do because I'm married and I'm some kind of expert. I'm not. I feel like God let me do me until I came to the end of myself. But he knew I had to do all that in order to become who I am. You know what I'm saying? And I've had moments where I was celibate. I was celibate for like a long time, and I had women call me gay, and I was like, that's a weird feeling. They're like, you gay? I'm like, no, I'm trying to protect you from this monster. Like, I feel like I need to manage this thing before I get married. Because most of
Right.
the, if you can wild out and have an appetite that's ridiculous, because the more the monster eat, the more you feed the monster want to eat. And then you think when you
Mm-hmm.
get married, your appetite just goes away. And it doesn't. Your appetite is the same, but you can't expect a woman who works 8 hours a day, take care of your two kids, to have the same single sex that you've been craving yourself. She can't compete with your fantasy. She
Right.
can't compete. You having threesomes once every weekend. Your woman that loves you, she can't compete with your fantasy, and it's not fair. It's unmanageable. So you got to figure out what's broken in you to make you desire this thing that there's no end to. And like just being an entertainer, like being an entertainer, the hardest part is not the talent of it. The hardest part is like balance.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're funny and a good looking guy, you're gonna get all the sex you've ever wanted your entire life. Especially when you didn't know you was cute until you start performing, and then now you get all this access. You got to manage that. Just like when you perform, you get all the drinks you want. When you perform at a comedy club, you get free drinks at the comedy club.
Mm-hmm.
Or when you travel and you're
Mm-hmm.
on the road and all they got is fried food, you got to manage that. So your sexual appetite is the same thing. If you don't manage that appetite before you get married, not after you get married, because that paperwork and that ring don't change your appetite. You're
Right.
responsible for that, which is why I mentioned earlier that marriage will make you reconcile everything you ran from in your singleness. And again, it's
Right.
cool to sleep
Right.
with a bunch of chicks and have all that collateral damage, but I realized I was making a bunch of women crazy, and it was my fault because
Mm-hmm.
I've always functioned as a husband, but I rarely met the woman who I considered my wife. So
Yes.
because a woman was in my space and I enjoyed her company, we would
Mm-hmm.
have sex.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it wasn't no crime to me. And I would be honest, like, yo, I ain't looking for nothing. But then later on, you can't give a woman husband penis and then be there for her and then call her crazy when her heart and her spirit desires more from you. If that makes sense. Like
That makes perfect sense. That
I'm
makes
giving her like
perfect
great
sense.
sex on purpose, trying to break her. That's pride and ego. Like you trying to
Mm-hmm.
break her to where she give you that little look where you like know she gone and can't control her world no more. That little look
Right.
that you know what I'm talking
Right.
about. Like
Yeah, but it's
don't
funny.
make me pee on you. Like you know what I'm talking about. Like yeah,
It's
no.
funny you say that. I
When you do
had
all that, when you
mhm.
do all that, you're creating an appetite in a woman that you can't sustain. And I knew I was doing that, but later on I was like, a woman don't deserve that. And then when I got older as a man, I realized it's more important for me to, instead of feeding my ego, I got to protect my light. So I
Mhm.
went from trying to smash as many chicks as possible to like, you know what? I'm sleeping with this chick. She ain't got no sense of humor, and I'm a comedian. What am I doing with my life? So I got to protect my light because I know, again, I always function like a husband, and I'm
Mhm.
connected to God even while I'm doing my mess.
Mhm.
And I realized I shouldn't allow everybody in my space just because I have access to them. Because being an entertainer, you have all these people that love you because they see the light and the little mist around you. Like, oh my God, he's such a whatever, and then you take advantage of that.
Mhm.
Like, yo, it's and then you have sex and y'all become friends, or whatever. But at the same time, you're like, I shouldn't let her in my space because my light is more important than me feeding my ego. Because in order for me to sustain, I gotta protect. Like, why am I feeling depressed right now? Why am I feeling insecure right now? This ain't me. But
Mhm.
again, you got these soul ties, and now you're
Mhm.
feeling weird because you done slept with somebody you shouldn't even had in your space. You shouldn't even had a phone conversation with them. But again, she cute, and I'm pursuing it and whatever. So yeah,
Right. Right.
you got to manage that. And I'm sorry for cutting you off. What were you saying?
No, you fine. I forgot what I was about to say.
Oh, you made a statement
Oh
about
no, because I was
having
about to
sex
say
with
that
somebody,
um you
husband
had
penis.
mentioned right the husband penis, and I was going to say that I had Ryan Davis on my show some time back, but he made a point of saying, hey, when I'm out here and I'm engaging with these women, like I'm not going to give them a certain level of sex. You know what I mean? Not to say that you don't want to perform well, but if I'm not going to give you my grade A, my grade A is for my wife or my future wife or for that person that I meet that I feel like, he's like, but I'll give you B or C, you know what I mean? But you're not going to get, essentially it was more so, you're not going to get all of me, you know what I mean? In a single sexual experience. But if it's an experience with the person that, this is my future or you are my future, then yes, you can have all of me. So I just thought that was very interesting what you said about single people out here giving out husband dick. But some dudes do have that perspective. Well, no, you're not getting husband dick up out of me. You're not. You know what I
But it's
mean?
impossible though. Like even though he made that statement, it's impossible to manage that because you can't control a person's fantasy about you.
Mm-hmm.
As an entertainer,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen women who will take a piece of a man who's already taken
Mm-hmm.
than a man who's single that actually wants her.
Mm-hmm.
And to her, that means the world because he showed up. And it's just, you can't manage again. Like I've had women who like had a whole relationship with me that I've never even talked to before because I'm a thing to them. They see me perform. I'm very vulnerable. I don't small talk. So for me to meet somebody and I'm pouring into them, telling them I got a prophetic gift too, and I'm pouring into them. Stop, Siri. I'm pouring into them and telling them what I see inside their life. That is a form of intimacy. So for them, he asking me about my future. He asking me about my dreams. He asking me about my childhood. Like for me, I study people for a living. So that's a part of my DNA. But to a woman who ain't been seen, who ain't been heard, who only meet guys that want to have sex with them, and you actually listening to them and speaking into their life, to them, that's like better than sex. Oh, he care about me. And now I'm in a whole relationship just because I'm having small talk with them and they ain't used to it. You know what I'm saying? So you can't manage your level of intimacy with somebody because you can only manage like your interaction, but you can't manage like your sex or whatever with them, because if you're already a thing to them and they already love you, that's why I never slept with fans. Sleep with fans, it's the worst thing ever because they expect you to be what's in their head and you can't compete with their fantasy.
There it is, you guys. There it is, you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna need you all to stop sleeping with your fans because you're letting them down.
Your fans is what I said.
Your fans.
That's what you don't sleep with your fans. Don't do that.
Yeah, you're letting them down. Okay.
Yeah. If she don't know who I am, I'm like, you don't know who I am? What your name is?
And that is one interesting piece of entertainment, period, is how do you decipher whether or not somebody is coming at you because of who you are or somebody's coming at you because, you know, they legitimately like you. They legitimately as a person really fool with you. You know what I mean? Like, how is it making those discernments? And I wonder how that is for both men and women, because women in entertainment get the same thing. It's you know, the dick pics and your DMs and, you know, dudes always trying to come at you and take you out. Well, you in town, or you know what I mean? It's like, how do you really discern, hey, are you legit, or is it just you want the image, you want the person? You know what I mean? Like, that piece can seem like it could be
feel like y'all hard. So good at that and ignore your gut. Y'all feel like women are so good at like knowing, like you've been with enough trashy guys to know when somebody's solid. But I feel, what happened?
It's just a loud truck outside my window. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll wait.
They say making a delivery or something. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Listen, my mic picks up everything. So
yeah, I was saying that I feel like women, y'all have such a great, especially Black women, y'all like so in tune with stuff, but y'all ignore it. And when you don't operate out of a place of wholeness, you'll let your loneliness take you to curiosity land. That'll take you to crazy girl land, because you got to see what your spirit feels instead of just trusting that it don't feel right. Does that make sense?
Yes, I've been to crazy land. I'm not going to say,
but you already knew it though.
But I'm not going to say that it was out of loneliness.
No, but whatever, like you're lacking. Whatever you're lacking, like your curiosity will like make you like, let me find it. Because when I was younger, I'm a very sensitive person and I'm like in tune. So when I felt some bad vibes, I would have to investigate the bad vibes, and hear them say what I was feeling. And then once I feel it, like, I was like, oh, okay, that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? But now that I feel it, I just trust it. Like, if I'm trying to be friends with somebody and it don't feel right and it fall apart, like, you ever like see somebody and you don't know them, but when you hang out and you don't hang out with them, but when you finally hang out with them, you realize why you never hung out with them, but you never.
Yes.
Now, when I feel it, I just trust it. If they don't call me back, if they don't return my call, if they like assume something about me, just trust every bit of that, because that's your spirit talking to you. But we override it, and sometimes we have so much noise in our life, which would be our childhood, literally music, TV, and we have so much just junk that just our insecurities, our don't nobody want me, I don't want to be single again stuff, and you let all that stuff lead your dating decisions versus like just trusting. This don't feel good. Like, this don't feel like God. This don't feel like something I can grow and like be my naked, vulnerable self in.
Yes. 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 So clearly I came here for a therapy session, you guys, because Ron G is talking to me right now. You know, the pastor at church Every time he have a sermon, it's about you specifically. Like,
That's so funny.
man,
I'd be losing friends too on accident.
listen. And but you're honest. You're honest, and you ain't said nothing wrong. You know what I mean? Like, you're really hitting on the psyche of a lot of people. But it's just a challenge. You know what I mean? It's a challenge to tackle any demon, no matter the size, shape, sex of the beast, whatever the case may be. And even with dealing with all those internal demons, especially now during this pandemic where we are in constant mode of self-reflection. Some people have had nothing else to do but reflect on themselves and their own attitudes and their own flaws or quirks or whatever, and how they move in move in certain situations. And then we're going to have to decide whether or not the person that we were, is that the person that we want to continue to be? Are we 100% comfortable with that? And then coming out of this pandemic, learning how to be better than what you were when you went in. And that's with any aspect of your life. That's whether it's with business, whether it's with your sex life, whether it's with, you know, how you interact with your family. Like, it self-reflection can be good for some, but, you know, terrible for others. But everything that you said, I hope that you guys in my audience are really taking heed to the gems that this man is dropping. I didn't even know. Okay, that this is what I was about to be in for. I didn't know. Okay, I did not know. I see your sketches. You make me laugh. I think you're talented.
Thank you.
I didn't know you was about to get on here and just, okay. I love it though. I do.
And this is what we talked about
things
earlier.
that people need to see, people need to hear.
This is what we talked about earlier. Like, everything that got you to where you at won't work for where you're going. And that's like this specific moment in time. Like, we were born, this whole generation was born to be a part of a movement that's going to change the way the world views us, how white people view us, how black people are seen. And we're going to do relationship on a level that's never been done before by any of our family members, and specifically you. I feel like whatever your silence was in that face you made, God trying to disrupt that peace on purpose to like set you up for the next level of your life. Because what you did to get here, it ain't gonna be enough, and to sustain it. Like, all the stuff that you built your life around, this is not even in a shameful way. This is me telling you specifically, like, your kids need to see this to be the standard for what they have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? And you have this really dope platform. I don't believe that this moment is an accident. I believe that this is a divine appointment, because I didn't know what to expect and you didn't know what to expect either. But this is, we barely talked about sex, but this is where we need to pull up the handbrake, because I believe, like, for you specifically, like, you about to experience a really dope part of your life. And I say this too, I feel like a plane on the ground with a crack in it, it's not a problem. But when you're flying above the clouds and you got a crack in it, the plane will implode. And you can't go up there with the same stuff that you had here. And it's fine here. Now, if you want to stay here, you can keep it there. But for where you going, like, you got to unpack all that stuff, because this is the question. Even if you met the man you said you want, with the junk you have right now, would he want to stay? You know what I'm saying? Like, would he still want to be like, yo, I'm worth 6 figures, I have everything I need, but this is what I need to make me better? I chose my wife because, one, she showed me how to argue and still feel love. I never had that before. I never had a woman, like, I legit argue with my lady and I felt love the whole time. Like, well, you're not leaving me? Like, you're not trying to destroy me? You're just trying to get your point across? That's mature. And it made me so uncomfortable. It made me feel so naked. My pride told me to run, but my spirit told me, like, you need to lean into this. You need to lean into everything that makes you feel uncomfortable. And all the things that got me to where I was, with my charm, you know, being funny, with my wife is funnier than me. Hands down, at the house, hilarious. My little charming, a little funny. No, I had to show up in front of my lady naked with all my junk, all my flaws, and tell her and use my words. And it was uncomfortable. But this is the best relationship I've ever been in. And it's scary because it's my marriage. I had to wait till I got married to be in a relationship I thought I wanted to be in. But everything before that, I was floating. I was people pleasing from my childhood, trying to make sure everybody good, and then sacrificing my own happiness. I was like not standing at my full height, saying how I felt, because when I see a woman with tears, I want to make sure she's happy, versus like, I don't care about your tears. Like, this is what we need to do in order to survive. I can't sustain like this. And also trusting my gut. My pastor said to me one time, and it messed me up. He said, I was going through my breakup. I was back and forth with the person. We broke up like 3 times. He said, and I quote, "What's broken in you that make you commit to somebody that reminds you that you're unlovable?
Mm.
Why are you pursuing somebody, fighting for somebody who reminds you every time y'all together that you're unlovable and you're heartbroken? You chose, and you mad at them. It's almost like, that's why I hate the phrase when y'all say F boy, he a F boy. And I'm like, a F boy wouldn't matter if you honored yourself. If he doesn't have a car, he live with his mama, he eat McDonald's every day, and you get pregnant by him, now he's an F boy. He shouldn't even be a conversation. He shouldn't even be
Right,
in your
right,
phone.
right,
If
right.
he's really an F boy, you should see that before, because women, y'all have black women, y'all have the best intuition ever. Like y'all see it and feel it. You can tell when somebody is a scumbag. It's almost like the president. You know a pimp when you see one.
Mm-hmm.
We know it. Like black, we know it. We like, something about his spirit. I don't even know what it is about him before he started talking. Huge, huge. Like you just like, you know a pimp when you see one because you grew up in the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
But
right.
white people don't know it because they don't have a reference point for pain, struggle, or somebody trying to swindle them.
Well, let me tell you, I appreciate this. I appreciate this. Um, there are definitely no mistakes ever. And so I'm glad that I've been able to have you as a part of my show. And I'm glad that we had this conversation because you did hit on some stuff that, T Gray needs to make some adjustments. Okay. I'm not going to act like I'm perfect by no means. By no means.
We all trying to figure this
By
out.
no means. And maybe some of the things you said I did need to hear. I did need to most definitely. Because I am one of those people that the relationship could end. And I know I don't need to deal with that person. You know what I mean? Because of their impact on me or how I may feel about myself when I'm with them or whatever the case may be. And it was the same as what your pastor was saying to you. Like, why would you do that if, this person clearly
What are we fighting for?
doesn't make you feel like, you know what I mean, the way you're supposed to feel. So yeah, it was other things you hit on, thank you. Brother
I'm
Pastor,
just being obedient, man.
Brother Pastor Dick and Ron G just
Hey, Real
came
Ron in
here
the
and
building.
fixed my life real quick.
Hey, so look, I feel like we ran out of time, but I would love to do this again. We could do a part 2 and do a follow-up show. Just let me know when you're
Yeah,
free, and
most
I would love to do that.
definitely. Maybe we can even hop on and do it on the live. I think that would be fantastic.
That'd be amazing.
But I truly, truly appreciate you being on my show. I appreciate you blessing my volume 2 of these Corona Chronicles. You guys, so many more great comedians coming up. I hope you all stay tuned. In the meantime, in between time, Ron G, tell them where they can follow you at.
Please follow me, Comedian Ron G, on everything. Comedian RONG. I post dope content on my Instagram and also on my YouTube, Comedian RONG. Every Thursday, me and my lady do a really dope game show called Couples Couch. So if you with a new boo or y'all been together for a while, every Thursday we do Couples Couch. I'm not sure when this is airing, but today is the finals, and we're giving away some money. So it's gonna be great. And then on Sunday we do virtual Chocolate Sundays. It's a virtual version of the comedy show we do at the Laugh Factory. Over 200 people. DJ, we having a good time. We in your house and we having fun. So if you can stop by and do that, but everything is on my Instagram, Comedian Ron G, and don't block your blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on my show. I can't wait to chat it up with you again. We're going to make this happen real soon. Look,
I can't wait to see these clips. Please.
Listen, so you can finish fixing my life.
That's so
Ron
funny.
G came through.
That's so dope. And also, one of my big passions is personal growth for men, which is how I even got to this space. I have my own podcast called the 2-Piece Podcast, the number 2 PIECE podcast. Ladies, if you enjoy everything I said, my podcast is this it. And also, I do it with another one of my homies who's more profound and more prolific than me. And just check it out, 2-Piece Podcast on every streaming service. And yeah, appreciate
Okay, you guys make sure that you do follow everything that he's doing. Make sure you check out the podcast. I didn't even know you was doing that. Like finding out more stuff now, but it was fantastic having you on my show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you soon.
All right, bye-bye.